the non-self concept. Would you be able to explain that, please?
Okay. We'll try. The Buddha speaks of Anatta, the non-self condition. So I think for the ordinary lay person, it is easy to understand that nothing belongs to us in this world, but everything is conventional in the sense, say you are born, you must have a birth certificate registration. If not, you have no birth. When you are married, you must have your marriage certificate. If not, there is no marriage. If your ownership, your car is not licensed and registered, there is no ownership of the car. So it's obvious that all ownership depend on convention, legal convention, and all kinds of social conventions, all kinds of language conventions. So there is no absolute ownership. When we are born into this world, we have no ownership at all. These things are all acquired by means of some strategies, legally, and maybe by force. The police and the army and the government, they all ensure that we have some life of our own, but it is all put up show, and intrinsically there is no valid ownership. For instance, it's obvious that the mother will say, my son, but soon he will become my husband, my children, and he will disown you, and they in turn will bestow all their energies on the children, but the children in turn will have their own families, and they have the old mother, the father are left to their devices. So the ownership that you call me, I, and mine is not an absolute ownership, but a conventional ownership. This is the meaning behind this non-self nature. So once you understand that nothing belongs, your greed and all your actions becomes not greed-ridden, not with greed, hatred, and ignorance, but with a kind of reservation, like with non-greed, non-hate, and wisdom. Because this ownership leads to greed, hatred, and ignorance. So it is making bad karma, and also we have to suffer the results of karma. It is the Arahant who finally gives up all ownership. He doesn't make good karma or bad karma. So he's the one who is released from all ownership, and therefore he does not carry the burden of having to maintain. If you have an ownership, you have to maintain, and he doesn't enjoy the pleasure of the worldly happiness. So all worldly happiness is because of ownership. If you don't have it, then it is disaster. Whatever you think is mine and you disown it, then it is disaster. A friend of mine said that now in Australia, it is not safe to go after 6 for a lady. They can blunder take your car out, and within a few hours, your car will be completely distorted and you can't even recognize. It has become so difficult. So where is this ownership? Ownership is just a legal term that has been conventionally instituted. So in very simple terms, non-self means that this is a conventional system and not an absolute ownership. That is the non-self nature. It doesn't mean that it is only for us. It is a universal thing. Nobody else owns anything. So this is a difficult concept because people believe in me, I and mine. That is the worldly truth. We can't disown that. It would have been so hard for the Buddha to speak against this highly accepted worldly law of me, I and mine. But the Buddha disclaimed it, and only those who disclaim it will find a way out of the suffering and rebirth. So the Buddha speaks of suffering because of this ownership. Because if you lose your ownership, it is utter suffering. To maintain it is also difficult. To get it also is difficult. Say you want a big car, to buy it is difficult. You have to work for it, to maintain it, and if you lose it, then it is utter disaster. So this kind of suffering is what the Buddha speaks of. And then it is due to this non-self nature. Okay?
Thank you, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. Thank you very much.
So,
Sadhu, sadhu. The next question is,
yeah.
please explain how our ignorance or moha makes us believe that someday our six senses will make us happy and content.
So it's a question of tanha, except the Arahant. As tanha, tanha means greed for good things. You want to see good things, hear good things, smell good things, taste good things, uh, and feel the good touch to the body comfort. So these good things we expect, and when they don't get, we get frustrated, then we yearn and expect that it will come in the future or it will come in the next birth. So we do good, we sacrifice a lot in order to get good things. But that sacrifice is due to greed. We want good things. That's why we sacrifice. Whereas the Buddha and the Arahant, they sacrifice not for gaining things for sensual pleasure, but they sacrifice merely with metta, loving kindness, expecting nothing in return. But when we sacrifice, when the ordinary living being, their sacrifice is expecting returns. So it's only a question of expecting a good time, good returns for whatever you are doing. And otherwise there is no hope and there's utter frustration there. That is why people keep on thinking, maybe the good times will come, but it never comes. It becomes worse and worse. I for one, at 91 years knows what old age and suffering is. So people have to suffer. Not only that, they have to suffer death also. There is not one person who escapes old age sickness and death. So their hope is based on tanha, which is not not with wisdom. Their hope is based on ignorance, imagination, expectation, tanha, wanting, based on greed. And so that is why it is called moha, this expectation of good times. Okay?
Thank you, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. Sadhu, sadhu.
Yeah.
The next question is, they say both the Jaya piritha and the Gini piritha are very much liked by gods. But both chants
Like what?
that both Jaya piritha and Gini piritha are very much liked by gods. But
By divine people. Okay.
by divine people, yes.
Ah.
But both chants virtually the same have both chants are virtually the same words, except for the beginning of the piritha. Can you please explain why this is so?
Yeah. These are not Buddha word. They are later, they have been later compiled and for various other reasons. For people who want worldly happiness, they like to chant that. That includes divine people as well, because they are also ignorant of the law. They also believe in happiness. The entire world believes in happiness. So these are later, compositions that people have made to please the God and get something in return. So when you please the God, they think.
Hello?
Yeah, I think somebody muted Bhikkhuni. I can't unmute her from here. So I will have to knock off the call and then call back in. Just give us a minute.
Okay.
Bhikkhuni, sorry, I think somebody muted you. We have you back online. Apologies. Having a few technical problems today.
I don't know whether I have done the mistake.
No, it's not you. It's not you. Somebody else.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
We can hear you now, Bhikkhuni
We can hear
Kusuma.
you very clearly.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I forget the trend. We were talking about. Can you please repeat that question?
Yes, I will, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. The question is, they say both the Jaya piritha and the Gini piritha are very much liked by divine beings.
So these are later compositions,
Yes.
just to please God, imagining, or maybe it is true, and asking for favors from God. And I suppose there are many instances where they get their wishes granted. So, supposing, depending on whether the divine people are capable of granting it and whether the one who receives also deserves it. So, on such conditions, there may be some reaction from the divine people. So, but the Buddha never extolled that kind of thing. The Buddha said you have to depend on your own merits and don't ask for help from others. You have to be very independent and you do the right thing, then the good karma you make will give you happy results, whether you don't have to ask anybody. It is a natural cause and effect. Okay?
Thank you, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. Sadhu
Yeah.
sadhu.
Yeah.
Now, this is a long one, Bhikkhuni Kusuma.
Yeah.
Antho, jatā, bahi, jatā, jatāya,
Yeah.
jatitā, pajā. Can you please
Yeah.
explain above in
Yeah.
simple terms, explaining
Yeah.
the role of consciousness and craving which binds the antho, jatā and bahi, jatā as
Okay.
sibbani or the seamstress?
Yeah. The meaning of antho, jatā, bahi, jatā, last night Sohani found a meaning because I couldn't have the reference because I have no access to books here. She found it in the internet and she just told me, antho jatā means a tangle within. Bahi jatā means a tangle without. Inside is a tangle, outside is a tangle. Jatāya, jatitā, pajā. Pajā means people. People are entangled in a tangle. Now it reads like this: a tangle within, a tangle without, and people are entangled in a tangle. O Gautama, I ask you, who can untangle this tangle? So it's a very interesting thing. One Brahmin came and asked this question from the Buddha. What is the tangle within is that we are so harassed by our own confusion, by our own greed, hatred, fear, psychosis, all kinds of things. Physical, mental trauma is what gives us problems. So here, jatā means it's a problem, a knot. So you are tangled within and without. The outside world is also in a tangle, in a similar tangle. Especially at this time of corona, you find how frustrated people are from within and without. So this Brahmin is asking, people are entangled in a tangle from within and without. And, O Gautama, I ask you, who can untangle the tangle? So now that is the question asked by this Brahmin, and the Buddha says, the only one who can untangle this tangle is the Arahant, the final saint, who gives up all craving. So the Buddha speaks of giving up craving. Tanha or craving is the cause for suffering. The first noble truth is suffering. The second noble truth is the cause of suffering, which is craving. So the only way you can untangle the tangle is to give up craving. And it's a gradual process. The Buddha has shown the way in the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is the fourth noble truth, which the Buddha declared. Go this way, go the Eightfold Path, and little by little you will untangle the tangle. That is the confusion inside, you will untangle. But I don't know whether the Buddha speaks of the tangle outside, because if everybody untangles, then there will be no tangle within or without. So it is an individual process where you see your own craving, and because of the craving there arises anger and hatred and all, fear, psychosis, and for me, I, mine, ego, selfishness, self-preferences, and because especially the education of the world today does not address it only promotes the craving for sensual pleasure. So the tangle has become more intense today. So in the past, the Buddha speaks only of how to give up craving, which is the one thing that is promoted today. And there's so much um, materialism. People go for money and riches, but then it's a dead end because they have to leave everything in sickness, old age, and death. And then they go because of their craving and all their confused mind, they even can't get a good rebirth. And then they are destined for a subhuman rebirth, which is an extremely dangerous situation, because to get a human rebirth is so difficult. Because the human beings on earth, you can even count their heads. But the Buddha says, uh, sattva vishya achidyai, which means that the amount of living beings is unthinkable. So, a human rebirth is very rare. So, this kind of materialism leads to greed, hatred, and ignorance, and obviously they will never. They will leave all the wealth of whatever status or whatever they have achieved will be left behind, and they die, and then they get rebirth. Maybe in a subhuman level, it's very difficult to come out of. So there are the animal world, the ghost world, the hell world. So that's why the Buddha does not promote greed, hatred, and ignorance, but the Buddha promotes metta or loving kindness and all the positive attitudes where a human nature, the human life is safe and people live in harmony, and they are not against it as what we see as competition and all kinds of. Then the Buddha advised us to take the 5 precepts, which is not not the domain of materialism. Materialism and the present day science and technology does not have any sense of the purity of the Buddha speaks of sachitta paryodapanam, to purify the mind. Buddha speaks that give up all evil, cultivate the good, and purify the mind. That kind of ethical, noble, human values are now questioned. They have no values. So, can you repeat that question, please?
Yes, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. There was a second part to it as well. I'll read it from the beginning. Antho, jatā, bahi, jatā, jatāya, jatāya, jatitā, pajā. Can you please explain the above in simple terms, explaining the role of consciousness and craving, which binds the antho jatā and bahi jatā as
So,
Sibbani, the
consciousness and
seamstress.
craving.
Yes.
So consciousness is an essential part of all life. Thus, chakku vijnana, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, smell consciousness, taste consciousness, and body consciousness, they all go towards the brain as if it's a computer, and then the brain does not know what is good and bad. The brain is like a computer. It only computes these data, but it is the heart and wisdom that knows what is good and bad. Non-greed, non-hate, and wisdom is the domain of the heart and human and divine nature. But the brain does not tell you all that. So if you are ignorant, you are led by the worldly aspects of consciousness, and that is leading you to more greed. And that is the reason why you get entangled. So therefore, it is a tangle within and tangle without. And people are entangled in a tangle. And the man, this Brahmin is asking the Buddha, "Oh, Gautama, I ask you, who can untangle the tangles?" And the Buddha says, it is only the Arahant who can finally untangle the tangle. That is by giving up the entire greed, craving for sensual pleasure. So it's a very difficult thing for people to give up. Tana or greed is the one thing that gives them satisfaction. But they don't know that it is a dead end. That one thing, you are satisfied, then you want another thing, and you are satisfied, then you want another thing, and your whole lifetime you are looking for satisfaction, and you have amassed so much good things in life, and also you have sacrificed so much pain and suffering, and then at the end of the day, you are a goner because there is old age, sickness, and death. And death is a sure thing that anybody can understand. So the Buddha speaks about the Arahant who gives up craving altogether. And that is the only way you can untangle this tangle. Okay?
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. That was very clear.
Yeah,
Then we have one last question, if we have time.
yeah.
Yes, which is, can you please explain whether mano karma makes akusala? If we get angry with some incident but do not express it in any form, does it make akusala?
Yeah, if it is a continued manokarma, it is called abhijja, domanassa, micchaditti. These three are entirely mental. Abhijja means visama lobha, that is to say, because of excessive greed, you are perpetually indulging in greed. Then it is a manokarma. That means it's a mental development. Maybe you don't express it by word or deed, but still it is making bad karma. And abhijja, domanassa is anger and hatred and fear and that kind of pain and mental suffering. So that also is rooted in anger and hatred. So that also makes the continuous mental karma, and that also becomes very vicious karma. And greed, hatred, and no, the three are triad is continued anger, continued greed, abhijja, domanassa, micchaditti. Micchaditti is the wrong view. One may have the micchaditti, he may not express it, but he'll be driven by his wrong view. Micchaditti is the wrong view. So these three things can make a lot of bad karma. Abhijja, domanassa, micchaditti. That is, abhijja is excessive greed Domanassa is excessive anger, all in the mind, and Michaditi is wrong view, also it's mind created. So they can give very bad akusala karma. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. Sadhu Sadhu. Those are all the questions we have today.
Uh-huh.
You started on Budu Guna, explaining the Budu Guna to us last week. And
Yeah,
shall we continue on that
yeah,
today?
yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm really having it here in front of me because they are so voluminous that you hardly know where to begin and where to end. Voluminous in the sense the virtues of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha cannot be expressed in words, they are infinite. So people try, there are lots of teachers or later experts, they have tried to put it into words because these are mental qualities. They are things of the heart, they are things of the mind. But I think I was able to tell you one aspect that was araham. I don't think I should repeat it. And then Vidya Charana, Ashtavidya and Pasalas Charana, the 8 sciences and the 15 kinds of superior conduct that I dealt with 15 kinds of charana, the virtues, the sila, the conduct of the Buddha. So I don't think I'll repeat it. I'll get on to the next one, that is Sugato. Arahang Vidyacharana Sugata. Sugata means well gone. That is to say, well done. You have got to the end of all suffering. That is what Sugato means. So, majority of living beings, as well as even teachers of various religions, are not well gone. They depend on a creator, God, and have blind faith, which leads them to rebirth and suffering. But the Buddha alone shows the way to Nibbana, the Eightfold Path, which leads them towards the ending of suffering and the ending of rebirth. As the Buddha is called well gone, but the Buddha's path is well gone. And that is for us to understand that we should follow this Eightfold Path, and that will be the end of suffering. Then the Buddhas of the past also followed the same path. Hence, they were also well gone. All Buddhas are well gone. They also followed the Eightfold Path. Then the Buddhas, and not only did they follow, they recommended. Then the Buddhas of the past actions, the paramita, and that is the only way. That so fulfilling paramita for Buddhahood is also called well. Then it is said that there are so many miracles of all Buddhas. As soon as they were born, they all, it seems, walked 7 steps and declared their supremacy. So that is also a reason why they call well gone. Then they all renounced and gave up sensual pleasure. That's also a reason why they are well gone. And then ended all suffering. And all Buddhas of the past realized this same nature of mind and body. So it is a time-tested truth. They all realized the nature of the mind and body, that they are prone to anicca, dukkha, anatta, that is, the impermanent mind and body are both impermanent, and they are sorrow-laden. There's mental sorrow and physical sorrow, and they are anatta, means the non-self nature. Then all Buddhas of the past, they all had the same, they preached the same absolute truth and gave up conventional truth. It is the only way, and there is no other way. And that's also why he's well gone Sugato. And they all preach they all preach the same Four Noble Truths. That is the only way, and there's no other way. Then they all speak the same Dhamma without any contradiction. And that is the truth. And that is the way. So that is therefore he is called Sugato. Then all the Buddhas of the past, they all gave the same perfect medicine for all ills, for the ending of all suffering. Hence, they are called well gone. And there are many, many attributes, but I was able to pick up a few just for our basic information. They all won over the greatest scholars and opponents, teachers, and the Mara who came for argument, and they were all vanquished. Hence, they are called Sugato. They went the right way, and then they were well done, like well gone. So in modern parlance, it is the same path that is tested through by all Buddhas through eons. So there is no mistake. One has to tread that path if they have to end suffering. Okay, so that is Sugato. Hello?
Yes, Bhikkhuni Kusuma, we can hear you. Hello.
Diniti, are you listening?
Yes, we are. We can hear you well.
Okay.
Thank you.
So shall I continue?
Yes,
now
please,
that,
Bhikkhuni Kusuma. Sadhu, sadhu.
Now that is Arahang, Vijjacharana Sampanna,
Sugato.
Sugato. Then we come to Lokavidu. Lokavidu, the world is infinite. That's what the Buddha said. There is Lokavishya Achintya. Unthinkable is the extent of the world. So Lokavidu means the Buddha realized the extent of the world, of the universe, not by scholarship, but by wisdom and understanding. So there are so many attributes of the Buddha which confirm that the Buddha had supernormal knowledge and vision. The Panchavida Nyaya Mandala is the 5 kinds of universal knowledges realized by the Buddha. I can just enumerate the 5. sanskara, vikara, lakshana, nirvana, panyapti. I'll try to translate it. Sanskara means the Buddha was able to see the synthesis, the world, how the world arises due to causes and conditions, the synthesis of the world. So we are talking about the world. Lokavidu means he is the final, the person who really understood all aspects of the world. So sanskara is how the world comes to be due to causes and conditions. The Buddha speaks of causality. Vikara means analysis. He was also capable of to break down the world of the universe in impermanence. So the Buddha sees the rising of the world, and Buddha sees the impermanence of the world breaking down. And it is not only for us, the world means here the entire world, the entire universe. They are always breaking down. There is a dynamic equilibrium. They are not static. So because of their rotation, their gravitation and their electromagnetic fields, so many things that keeps them as if static, but there are so many breaking down processes as well as building up processes. And the Buddha saw both. Then Lakshana is what it appears to be, the superficiality of the world. That also he saw, the superficiality, what you think is beautiful is not necessarily beautiful. Then he saw nirvana, the freedom from desire and the extinction of suffering. So these are the things that the Panchavida Jaya Mandaliya that are so hard to understand. He saw Nirvana and he saw Panyati. He saw the convention, the man-made worldly truth. Hence the Buddha is Lokavidu, the wisest in the world. Vidu is a Pandita. He knows the entire structure of the world, in the sense the universe. So the Buddha is one who saw the sanskara, the synthesis of the world, vikara, the analysis and how they break down, and lakshana, the superficial appearances of the world, nirvana, the freedom of desire and the extinction of suffering, and the Buddha saw the panyati, the convention that is man-made worldly truth. So according to the Buddhist philosophy, this is well known by the Buddha, and there are 4 phenomena that are infinite which the Buddha understood. They are inconceivable, endless. One may investigate till the end of life with utmost effort, but they will never see the end. It is a futile quest, a waste of good human energy. These 4 infinites are Lokavishya Achintyai, that's what I was talking about. Even if you the universe is infinite in extent, endless, inconceivable. No science does not answer the question why, because science is not progress to see the end of the world, whereas the Buddha saw the endless nature of the world. So it's a waste of time, waste of energy if you go seeking to see the world beyond. Then, Sattva Vishaya Achintya, the Buddha saw the extent of of living beings in human and subhuman condition. They are inconceivable, infinite. If I can give you a personal anecdote, I was in US studying molecular biology, and then I had to see a drop of pond water under the face microscope. For 3 months I had to do this, and it is amazing the amount of animal cues you see in a drop of pond water. So I was thinking, Buddha saw this. So there's so much life, small, big, all kinds of life, seen, unseen. The Buddha refers to in the Karaniya Sutra, born, unborn, far, near. The amount of living beings are inconceivable. That's also a sattva vishaya achintya. So living beings in human and subhuman and superhuman states of existence are inconceivable, infinite, endless. Then the Buddha speaks karma vishaya achintya. That is to say, karma and vipaka, that is actions and reactions of all living beings, is inconceivable, infinite, endless, because there is so much karma done knowingly, unknowingly by all living beings. And then they reap the results of karma, vipaka. Then that is also inconceivable, because life after life, the only thing we have been doing is making karma and receiving results. So we are born also as a result of karma. We make karma and we have to suffer the results of karma sooner or later, or throughout a lifetime, or throughout samsara. So the many arahants who had supernormal powers were able to see their previous lives and the karma they made and the suffering it entailed. So, but for our purpose, for the mundane, it is not conceivable. So we have to be satisfied that karma vishaya is karma vishaya achintya. Karma and vipaka, that is actions and reactions of all living beings, is inconceivable, infinite, endless. And Buddha saw that these four, and the final one is the last but not the least that I have written down, that is Buddha Vishaya Achintya, that is the extent of the knowledge, the wisdom and understanding and the virtues of the Buddha are infinite, inconceivable, and endless. And that is why the Buddha is called Lokavidu. So I think we have some more time. I'll just go through it. And this Loka gives the meaning, gives the rendering of Sattva-loka, Sanskara-loka, and Okasa-loka. So, තුන් ලෝකයට අග්‍ර කියලා කියනවා. තුන් ලෝකය කියන්නේ සත්ව ලෝක, the world of living beings. Samskara loka is a world of formations, karmic problem, karmic causes. Sanskara loka, Akasaloka is the world of space. So these three are called Tunloka. Loka Vidu could mean that he knew all three worlds. The world of living beings, the world of karma and result, the world of space, the universality, the endless nature. Then again, Loka gives the rendering of Kamaloka, Rupaloka, and Arupaloka. Then there are also three worlds are mentioned. Kamaloka is the world of living beings enjoying sensuality. Rupaloka is the world, the material world of Brahma. They have no sensuality, but they enjoy the jhanic pleasures in the Rupaloka. The Arupaloka is the immaterial realm, where the body does not exist, but the mind exists, and they enjoy the immense satisfaction of their jhanic pleasure, ecstasy of jhana. So these three realms are also called Tunloka, Kamaloka, Rupaloka, the material realm of Brahma, Arupaloka, the immaterial realm of the Brahman. So the Buddha is called Lokavidu. Vidu is really the master. So he's the master of the three worlds. Tunloketa agrakilakyanekai, Lokavidu is the master of the three worlds. He's the master of the three worlds, skilled, original, and who gained complete knowledge of the world of all existence, both mental and physical. Hence, he is called Lokavidu, the master of the three worlds. Next, I go to Anuttara Purisa Dhamma Sarathi. The Buddha is unique in transforming living beings, human beings, and maybe divine, regulating the behavior of the most atrocious, ferocious characters. For example, Nalagiri, a drunken elephant, Nandopananda, a fearful hooded cobra. They were all subdued and brought under. We know the story of Angulimala, a fearful bandit who was he was a murderer and he became an arahant. They all came in for submission. So even a person, an alavaka, a demon, these are well-known stories. An evil laka was, we hear of his being subdued, and supposed to be that he became a Sotapatti. Then we hear of Mara, the evil one, extremely powerful, who appeared at midnight with his retinue, fully armed, just before the attainment of Buddhahood. Then he declared, "Get up and go," he said. "The entire earth belongs to me." Then his retinue stood witness in one voice, "Yes, the whole world, the entire universe belongs to Mara." Then the Buddha looked around, it was midnight, and there was nobody, even the divine people who were surrounding him had vanished because they were so frightful of the Mara, and the Buddha aspirant was alone. Under the Bodhi tree, he had nobody to give evidence, so he is supposed to have pointed to the earth and said that the earth is witness. Whereupon the Manimekala, the goddess of the earth, appeared and stood witness that the earth shook whenever the Bodhisattva fulfilled paramitas, she said. And I am witness, she said. And that's the time the Mara was subdued and disappeared. So he won the Mara without weapons. A well-known war, Mara Vijaya, described in the Jayamangala Gatha. Thus, the Buddha is the undisputable winner of every combat. The most difficult to subdue are human beings, the Buddha says, who are evil-minded. Their minds become calm and gentle under the discipline as disciples of the Buddha. So all the disciples gave up their mental defilements, their prides and prejudices were gone. The Buddha had such wisdom and such supernormal powers to bring sanity of sainthood to the uncontrollable. The disciples that surrendered in all humility gave up the defilements and won the deathless. Sarathi literally means the charioteer who leads the horses along the path. They had no scientific jargon, and this was the familiar talk that the Buddha was able to speak to, otherwise the people cannot understand. So, Sarathi, Purisa Dhamma Sarathi. Sarathi literally means the charioteer, one who leads the horses along the path. Thus, the Buddha is unique in showing the path, Eightfold Path. All those who took to the path were able to overcome the travails of samsara by giving up craving and ending of suffering. Thus, the Buddha is the one who shows and steers people, human beings and even non-human beings, on the correct path, the path to all those who came for peaceful participation became disciples of the Sangha. Hence, Purisa Dhamma Sarathi, the able charioteer who steers his disciples along the path. Then the ferocious became meek and mild and amenable, having attained states of sainthood. The virtues and conduct of the disciples are impeccable. Examples: Supatipanna, Ujupatipanna, Nyayapatipanna, Samechipatipanna. There are endless descriptions in the books, but I was trying to get the minimum just for our purpose. And the Sangha, the Buddha himself extolled the virtues of the Sangha. These virtues may not apply to conventional Sangha. They apply to the Hello, I hope you are listening.
Yes, we are listening, Bhikkhuni Kusuma.
Okay,
We can hear you
okay.
well.
Good to make a sound so that I know you are there.
Okay, we'll do that.
So, so the Sangha refers not to Sammuti Sangha, but it refers to the Paramatma, the enlightened Sangha. They have all those super qualities. So the Buddha refers to them. Not only did they become disciples, they acquired all the superhuman qualities. And because they followed the advice and the straight path, the Ujjupatipanna means the straight path, they didn't follow a crooked path, their behavior strictly was correct, adhered to the law, namely the Dhamma. Then they were Samichipati and gentle and pleasant. Those are attributes of the Arahant and especially the enlightened Sangha. They were easy to get along with. They are the excellent qualities of the Arya Sangha, so not necessarily the Sammuti Sangha. So all those who came under his purview, the Buddha became extremely enlightened, polite Arahants who had no more defilements, and they ended all suffering. So I think we have just finished our time limit. Thank you very much, Diniti, and Dilshan. I know is somewhere there because Swan is out of town. So thank you very much, Diniti and Dilshan. We will now thank all of you who listened, and also we have made much merit because our minds were free from greed, hatred, and ignorance, and our minds are full of non-greed, non-hate, and wisdom, and that is good karma in the making. So we share the merit with the divine beings. Akasata Chabumata Deva Naga Maitika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakantu Lokasasanam. I wish you and bless you all success and growth in the Dhamma. Thank you, all of
Sadhu,
you.
sadhu. Thank you very much, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. We really appreciate the wisdom you shared with us, and also for enumerating and explaining so clearly the Budu Guna and answering all our questions. Thank you.
Thank you
Sadhu,
so much,
sadhu.
Diniti, and all
Teruvan
of you,
saranai.
especially Dilshan behind the
Sa-
scenes.
Yes,
Teruvan
thank you,
saranai, Bhikkhuni.
Dilshan.
Yes,
Thank you.
Dilshan, I know you are there. That's why we feel quite confident. Thank you, Dilshan.
Teruvan
Okay.
saranai, Bhikkhuni. Thank you.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි.
Teruvan saranai.